Hey, True Believers, Chris Matt coming at you with an awesome Elseworlds series. We'll be going through all 4 parts of Kingdom Come. This is book 1. The print date on this was May 1996, and I remember when this series came out, everyone lost their minds. Sadly, where I was from, there was no comic shops. The ones that had come, they'd be there like maybe 6 months gone. So every time I went out, I tried to find this thing, and I could never find it. I got lucky when I was younger, a few years later after this had come out, that I got it in collected trade. But finally, was just doing some back issue hunting, and I found some at my local comic shop. Found some long boxes that had lids on them, and I flipped them over just seeing what they had, and I found all 4 issues, and I was like, yes! And this is one of those just amazing books. So let's dive into it, and I'll explain what I mean when I'm just kind of just gushing. Other than Alex Ross's amazing artwork, this first part is called Strange Visitor. So it's Mark Waid writing, Alex Ross doing the art, and I believe Alex Ross initially set up the plot. And just look at these visuals. You kind of get like the American eagle, the U.S. flag kind of superimposed on it versus a dark bat, which right here, just love the symbolism. Keep that in mind as we go through this review. And I believe they're quoting from the Book of Revelation. I could be wrong, but I believe it's correct where it says there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And I mean, look at this. You just kind of get this surreal feeling. Nothing's really in focus, and we're just, talking about the end of the world, lake of fire. Just gorgeous, gorgeous work. I just love that surreal feeling. More foreshadowing. Please keep this shadowy image in mind. And we open up on, I believe this character's name is Norman. I'm not 100% sure as we go through it. But this character here, his name's Dodson, Wesley Dodson. I had to stop and think about it. If that name sounds familiar to you, this is the Golden Age Sandman that is in the hospital bed. And the pastor says, nightmares, Wesley. You've had them before. That's why you're here. Not nightmares, Pastor. Visions. And I feel like as we did this artwork that Ross, to a degree, outdid himself. Because, when you look at this, yeah, you can kind of tell that it's painting, but it's very Norman Rockwell. And to a degree, just the way he's able to kind of give it that nice sort of hazy finish, it looks cinematic. Like this could be actors. And, I've seen Ross's, creative pattern, and he uses friends and family to model, so that's how he kind of gets this realistic look, for lack of a better word. But as you can see, we open up with all this foreshadowing. The Sandman's dying. He goes, "Hear me, woman, Norman. I owe you much. Yeah, I have nothing to leave you save insight, and I give power unto you, my 2 witnesses." And then as he's passing, he goes, "It hurts. Be my witness, Pastor. Read the Word of God. It's all there. The end is near. Read the book." And I like how, as he's going, he's seeing his old uniform in the look of the orderlies. Sorry, I'm trying to think of what that's called. So Norman has been a pastor for years. And he goes, he mocked their worth, these newcomers, meaning the new heroes, and spoke instead of legends gone, of costume champions who had in his day inspired human achievement, not belittled it. He swore he'd never forget the world they came from. He wanted them to be remembered. He wanted them to live again. Because the original heroes that Wesley's talking about that he cherished, oops, I lost a page, that he cherished, we're talking about Green Lantern, Superman, Flash, And all these new heroes, they don't inspire the hope of, heroes come, which is sort of that way of every generation saying, well, back in my day. But you could see it here, because instead of our heroes being praised as they were once upon a time ago, now we have planet Krypton. And they're just basically a mockery of themselves. Terry steps in, and this Green Lantern character goes, "Good afternoon, citizen. How may I serve you?" And you just see this look. I'm sorry, Norman, not Terry. Norman's face. And this server is just like, "What do you think? Not a bad jobs on the tights, huh? They tell me I make a pretty good green, what do you call them? Arrow?" You can see how future generations, when they lose, in this particular world and in ours, this is very much art imitating life. How as generations go, people forget mythos, culture. And it shows here how all this is just nostalgia. Sound familiar, folks? I mean, look at the artwork, though. It is breathtaking. But in that breathtaking, there's also that subtle tragicness that everything that the Justice Force that they strove for in the past is now just a restaurant. And then you kind of see some of our heroes, like, if you remember from the later Justice League era, when it wasn't the big titans that we know, it was like Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, and I believe there was a girl named Ice and one called Fire. Right here, you can see the aging of these heroes. She goes, "I want to speak to the manager. Tell Booster Gold that B's here to see him." And I believe that was a character called Fire, I think is her name. So as you go through this, I like the little Easter eggs that Alex Ross puts in. Like, you really have to stop and look at it and not just blow through it. Stop. Take your time and enjoy the eye candy, but also remember that this is kind of a deconstruction story like Watchmen. What happens when our heroes abandon us? And the new age, not learning from the past, just becoming jaded, boasting about how they got rid of the heroes of the past, so now they have no one to fight but themselves. And in doing so, little disregard for human life. As you see Norman here saving this little girl. He says, talking about how these heroes boast about taking out all the old villains. He goes, "Small comfort. They move freely through the streets, through the world. They are challenged, but unopposed." And you can see how this guy's just having the time of his life fighting other heroes. He gets smacked. He's just kind of like, "Ah, ha, ha, ha." And he says, "After all, they are our protectors." So you can kind of see how the word hero has become this sick, twisted thing where these people have no morals. They have all this power, but no morals. And these are, children and grandchildren of heroes past. This, to a degree, reminds me of later down the road. I think Grant Morrison took a page from this in his Multiversity. I can't remember which book it was, but it looks like a pink magazine cover, and it's all the children of superheroes, and they have this same jaded, nihilistic attitude. And just the juxtaposition of this hero just laughing that he got knocked down. "Oh, I'll get back in the fight." And the civilians are supposed to be protecting. And how she's just tearing up that this is supposed to be her role model. So with all this happening, we're following this pastor, Norman. And you can see that he's starting to lose faith because he sees what this world's becoming. He doesn't know yet, spoiler alert, that the Sandman has given him his sight for the future. And so he thinks he's also going mad as well. And even though this kills me to see him tearing up a Bible like that, visually it just shows how far he's fallen since the passing of his friend, the Sandman. He's saying that, Wesley was we were some of his last friends. We come together every day, have dinner. My wife was enthralled with his stories of the past. I kind of shrug him off. But now he's saying I should have paid more attention. And I like it's just as he's really starting to doubt himself and all the years of service he's done to God, enters the Spectre. And it gives me the chills. The Spectre is very much a predominant character in here. Him and Norman are very predominant characters because you have to be able to have some way being brought into this world. So in a sense, it's like Scrooge having the different spirits, Spectre being a literal one here. He says, even as I stand before you, an act of unspeakable evil has begun to manifest. Armageddon is fast approaching. But you know this, you have the dreams. Now, one thing to put into context, something major happens in Kansas. I don't want to give away what it is, but that's kind of the beat that pushes this book forward. So the Spectre asks Norman to come with him. And he says, where are we? What do you see? I see a Midwestern farmland, but that's not possible. Again, like I said, something happened in Kansas. There is no need to lower your voice. We cannot be seen or heard, not even by him. And Norman's like, he looks familiar. He should, though he is not of this world. He came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Now, as I was poking through the Easter eggs, I like that they said that what the Spectre says here is what the radio announcer, I think it was the radio announcer or the Flesher, the original Flesher cartoon, is how they used to introduce Superman. So I like that they kind of made that a little more poignant in this moment. He's like, you know him by name. He is not used in 10 years. And Norman's just speechless. He goes, Superman. Not since he began his self-imposed exile. It's like he seems so alone. Inspector says, not always. And here we get a very bittersweet moment between him and Diana, who comes to check on him occasionally. And remember, keep in mind, the Spectre said that he's in a self-imposed exile. And I like how she goes, hello, Clark. And he just kind of gives her that Bruce Wayne death stare, and she goes, Cal. She's like, Diana, haven't seen you. What brings you to the farm? The vain hope that you're still not here. So she's like, you can't live forever in solitude. I'm Superman. I can do anything. And she keeps saying you don't need to be afraid of him. And we're thinking, what does she mean by him? He goes, I'm not afraid of him. And she's like, I didn't mean him. I meant you've lost so much since I first met you. What did he lose? Read the book. But Diana tells Clark to kind of pull his head out of his butt, air out of the sand, and look at what's going on in the world. So he goes in, watches a broadcast about what's going on in Kansas, and just look at how great. Sorry guys, this is one of those like bound books, so it keeps flipping on me. It's really irritating. But you kind of get the backstory of what happened in Kansas. And the him that we're talking about is a character named Magog. Read the book to find out more about him. But he's kind of, sort of becomes the villain of the book, just to kind of give you an idea of how important this character is supposed to be. And what I like here is how, you see him exiled, kind of looking out at this world that he's sort of disconnected from. And it gives him a different perspective. And you find out that where he is not exactly Kansas. It's an interesting concept of what they do. Now, the Spectre takes him to different parts of the world. He explains how the Flash has basically kept Coast City protected through all these years without Superman, because he's saying, with Superman basically self-exiling himself, a lot of the other heroes followed suit because Superman does not see how he is a role model to the rest of the team. That if he does something negative, the other team members start to think, okay, well, this might be okay. He doesn't see the type of impact that he has. So we kind of get a moment with, I think it's Jay Garrick and Alan Scott, which just, love this work. That looks like something that you could see like on a Star Wars poster or something from Drew Struzan. Just amazing, amazing work. And then we kind of get this, again, was kind of looking at what the Easter eggs mean here. We come to Gotham City, we see this little pack of thugs trying to start some crap. And they said that this little group here is supposed to be a remnant of the Fat Albert Gang, if you guys remember that show. But I like how immediately they're stopped by Batman. And the Spectre says, Batman has his city under control. And it just kind of made me laugh because, of course, Bruce would. He's a survivalist. Now, the last thing I do want to reference, as I said in the beginning, remember that silhouette that I talked about? And this Pastor Norman having the visions that the Sandman had? Well, there's a moment when you think you're going to get a glimmer of hope. And then we see this. I don't want to put it in context, but again, gorgeous artwork, the foreshadowing of what's to come in the next 3 books. I'm glad that I finally sat down and reread this. I remember reading it when I was younger, and I didn't quite understand all the undertones and nuances that were put in this book in terms of dialogue. I jumped on it when I was a kid because I loved the artwork by Alex Ross, and I understood the initial concept. But coming back and reading it when you're older, you're just like, whoa, there's a whole lot of freaking layers going on. So guys, Kingdom Come. I'm glad that when I was older, I finally got to reread this and just enjoyed every basic part of it. If you've enjoyed what you've read, please first and foremost, support your local comic shop and see if they have this series in stock. I've been hunting for the singles for a while now, and I've never seen a full run. So good luck to you. If not, it has been collected in trade paperback. You can go that route as well. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little bat bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for sticking around for this awesome review. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.